I have to say, I think it was a Sunday night here in America. I open my phone and I see a photo of you two together in the gym, arms around each other. Look at that. I mean, Rob, this warmed my heart. And I think I speak on behalf of every MMA fan on the planet. You're two of the most lovable, likable guys. And you've had this rivalry and this feud, whatever you want to call it, these two great fights. To see you guys out there as pals, joking around, hanging, like training together, this was lovely. And so could I ask, how did this all come about? What are the embryonic stages of this?
Yeah, I guess. So I was sitting down with my team, with Jacob suffering an injury, he was out, and a few of my other teammates have retired or gone different paths. We were just lacking in bodies. So I sat down with my coaches and whatnot, and we were kind of hashing out what the plan would be moving forward. And we were like, we could bring guys here, we could do this, we could do that. And then we started looking at, global, like where we could go to do like little stints or put some training together. And honestly, I'm fortunate enough that we have good friends or good relations with just about everybody. So we could have gone everywhere. The States was a potential, but then like a flash of lightning, we remembered City Kickboxing, New Zealand's 2.5 hours away. It makes perfect sense just to go over there. They have the bodies. Izzy's there, Carlos is there, Hooker's there. Like they have high level guys, and I think we could stand to benefit a lot from making that relationship and heading over. And let's be honest, like me and Izzy, we had our rivalry, we had our time, but there's a lot of young blood now in the division. There's a lot of guys coming up. The chances of us crossing paths again was super low to begin with, So yeah, that's kind of where our headspace was. My coach reached out to Eugene, said, "Hey, we're thinking about bringing some boys over. Let's chat. Let's see how we get along."
And just for the record, who was the one that came up with the initial idea? Was it you or your coach?
It was my coach.
And your initial reaction to it, like, did you need a minute to let it sink in, or were you on board right away?
Well, it was so left field for me because I guess I was so locked into my headspace, that headspace of being rivals, and just I didn't even think about it. It was like I was thinking of like places like LA, and I was thinking of training at Miami and different places, and I was looking at all the up in Asia as well, like where we could go to try and get some training in, and in some way I could take my family for the course of a month. But yeah, it wasn't until he goes, like he sits me down and he goes, "Mate, you know where we need to go." And I honestly, I couldn't work it out. Like I was just so blinded to that possibility that is like City Kickboxing. And then I was like, wow. Yeah, I was very receptive straight away. You know what I mean? Because it makes perfect sense. Like I stopped having any sort of emotions over our rivalry years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You put that behind you.
To the best of your knowledge, when your team reached out to him and reached out to Eugene City Kickbox, were they on board right away?
Yeah, they were super receptive.
Amazing.
Eugene was great to work with, and because I think everybody's on the same page. Like I said, there's a lot of blood in the division. There's a lot of other people in the world to fight. We're two guys, and they were super receptive. They had this the very same mentality as I had as well, which is like if we eat together, we fight together, and that's how I don't muck around like that either. So when we reached out, they were very receptive to us. We went over; they're all very welcoming. Everybody there was very welcoming. My family was super stoked that that I was over there, and I was I was gonna be doing some training there. So it was good for everybody.
Can I ask what those like initial moments were like when you first walked in? Like, are you feeling a little bit nervous? Like, okay, how's this going to go? How am I going to be received? What's that first interaction going to be like? What were you feeling at that time?
I guess apprehensive is the word. I wasn't nervous, but I didn't know how things were going to be. I didn't know if the first session we were going to line up, if they'd have a crew of 20 guys ready to spar me, ready to fight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it was nothing like that. I just slot in to their sessions, moving around, helping Izzy as much as I could in any way he wanted. I was moving with the other boys. We were just kind of we were just training, and it felt really natural and organic. Nothing was kind of forced. And Izzy himself, he was probably the most receptive of everybody there. I think he was really open to the idea. I think I think we're just both in good places in our career right now.
I love it. I mean, this footage is so incredible. When you're out there, kind of going through the motions, sparring him, whatever. Are you having any moments where you're like, holy shit, look how far we've come. This is crazy. Any like, wow, I can't believe, like any sort of out of body experiences that you're now buddies and in the training room with a guy that you've gone to war with twice?
Yeah, definitely. I had that when I was walking into his house.
Yeah.
When I was walking into his house, and I sat on his couch. He was asking me if I wanted anything to eat. I was like, "Oh man, where am I right now? How did we get here?" Because it was surreal to finally sit there, especially like because we had because Australia and New Zealand, like it's us versus everybody else. But when it gets down to it, we kind of like being rivals as well, But and that kind of rivalry just, I don't know, set the stage for a long leg between me and Izzy. So it was good to finally hash that out.
I bet back in like 2019 or so, the mere like sort of mention of this idea, you'd say over my dead body, right? Like you wouldn't even like entertain the idea of going there and hanging out with him and training with him, right? It was that personal at one time?
Mate, I wouldn't say it was personal, but I'm pretty sure in 2019, if I could have hit him with my car, I would have. I just like, not killed him, like a little bump, what I mean? Yeah. It was. There was no love lost there.
Wow.
Like not back then.
Incredible. So in total, how many training sessions?
Well, this was just a really short stint. We only went for 5 days. Just to, honestly, more importantly than the training was do we get along? Like, will this work? Are people like, can everybody bury the hatchet and can we get to this idea and get the training that we need to get done? And honestly, everyone was so receptive. We have heaps of skill sets that they can benefit from and vice versa. They have lots of bodies because they're a bigger MMA dedicated gym. So it was just, I think we both stand to gain a lot from this relationship. And I'm very super, super happy to have made the connection.
You're going to be going more often?
Potentially, yeah. So obviously I do my camps here at Gracie's Meat and Grange, and I got the team there, but I can work on skill sets here. I do look to head over to New Zealand and talk to Eugene and those guys and do stints. I'm not sure how we're going to structure that out yet. I'll speak to my coach and organize what the training here looks like, but definitely going back there to do some work with the bodies and Izzy and everybody else there.
And when you're there, are you being coached by Eugene, or is your coach coaching you while you're there?
It's both. It's, you know what I mean? Both. So the first leg, we were kind of just filling the air. I was just slotting into their sessions. I wasn't kind of doing any specific work for any specific agenda. But I'm sure moving forward, my coach and Eugene will sit down and they'll chat and they'll work out what's needed for any upcoming opponents that I'm going to be facing, and we'll work something out.
Okay. Well, by the way, what kind of like surprised you most about Izzy on a personal? Now that you got to hang out with him and be in the gym, be in his home, was there something about him that surprised you?
Maybe his jiu-jitsu. Like, I think it's much better than people give him credit for.
Interesting.
So wow. I'm looking forward to see how that translates into his next fight. Like I don't know how he's kept it on the down low so long, but
wow,
yeah, much better than everybody gives him credit for.
Okay, yeah, he's talked about wanting to get a sub in the UFC. So in the last few fights. So I like to hear that. Any chance of seeing you corner him on February 1st when he fights Imavov?
No, I think the relationship's moving too far.
Okay.
for that right now. Let's slow it down a bit.
Oh my God, what a scene that would be.
Well, I know, right? It's no, he's got his team, I got mine, and we were still creating that relationship. Like we're friends now, so I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Are we text friends now, or are we sending back messages, DMs, anything like that, memes?
I'm not much of a texting guy anyway.
Okay. All right.
I get tired. You've seen our text messages, Ariel.
Yeah, no, they're quick to the point, but you're quick. You're a quick replier.
We text back and forth maybe 3 or 4 times, and then we're like, okay, that's cool.
That's it. Yep, we're done. Yep. All right. I didn't know. I'm not Izzy. I didn't share the octagon with you, so I don't know if it's different.
That's how I am across the board.
All right, fair enough. Well, it's lovely. It's lovely to see you guys friends, and I would imagine now, and I think you've talked about this, but just want to make clear, like, if for some reason the stars align and they want you're not fighting him now, right? Is that it? We're done.
No, I don't fight people I eat with.
Yeah,
it's just how I am.
Okay.
Then there's, like you said, there's lots of people to fight. He doesn't have the belt right now. There's lots of people to fight. So much young blood right now coming up, and yeah, the division's so volatile, so fluid right now. It's yeah.
This might be a tough question to answer because he's now your best mate. But how do you feel about the fight against Imavov? How do you see it playing out for him?
Yeah, well, and like I said, I'm very biased with all my picks, predictions, and breakdowns as well.
Yeah.
But honestly, he's a hard dude to bet against. Period. His striking, his space control is just really next level. I thought he looked really good in that Dricus fight as well. Maybe one of the better versions of himself. Dricus is a very hard guy to fight, and I think it shows. I think it shows more how good Dricus is rather than what Izzy did wrong. Yeah, I think Imavov's got a really hard fight on his hands just because every fight starts standing. Izzy's probably one of the better strikers out there in the world right now. And his space control, his length, and his ability to counter and just make you pay for any sort of inch you take is a real threat.